0.
Greetings, fellow barbarians. It is I, Alan Odinson, and this is the Barbarian Lounge podcast. I want to thank you guys and gals for joining me this evening. Cool topic lined up for you. Actually, it's a pretty, I say a cool topic, it's actually a pretty controversial one because the internet's been losing their mind for the past few days, and I don't know, maybe they've been expecting sympathy or something like that. Let me tell you something, guys. This is the Barbarian Lounge. You want sympathy, you take your ass to church, because you're not going to find it here. We're going to break this shit down, and we're going to hash it out for what it is. But let's get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way to start with. First off, our website is thebarbarianlounge.com. Go there, check it out, check out all the different articles, check out the shop. I also advise you to check out the donate button there. You can go there, click on that. You got two options. One's a one-time PayPal donation, whatever amount you want to. $1, $2, $5, $20, your life savings, whatever it may be that you feel like you'd like to donate to the Barbarian Lounge. Or the second option is the recommended option, and that is to become a member on our members site, our patreon.com/thebarbarianlounge. You can go there, become a member. For as little as $1 per episode. I do a total of 8 episodes per month. That comes up to $8 a month to support the show. Keep the lights on it here. Keep me fueled up. Keep me fired up and ready to go in the fight. Now you may hear that and say, well, Odinson, wait a minute. You only do 4 shows a month. That's because you're not a member. We do 4 regular shows and 4 exclusive shows only available to patron members. And all of our patron members also get our regular shows early ahead of time. Recently, they've been getting them about a week early ahead of everybody else. I put on no airs whatsoever when I say that my members get first serving of everything. So if you're not part of the members group, you may be waiting a week for the episodes or more. You know, it's kind of one of those things that I do that those guys, they've got some skin in the game, and they have earned that right. So if you would like to join the Barbarian Lounge member site, go to patreon.com/thebarbarianlounge. Help support the show. Our sponsors, OdinsonArchery.com, traditional bows made from non-traditional materials. Go there, check it out. Get all of your archery gear. There's a lot of new gear. We got the bell of the ball for the 2017 Blade Show. The Chocanu repeating crossbow is there. Got the Woodland Assassin, the Babyface Assassin, a couple different packs, all kind of stuff. Anything you need for archery, you will find it there at an affordable price, and every purchase helps support this broadcast. Also, our other sponsor, Mitacon. MitaconUSA.com. Let me read the little thing I got here, my little commercial voice. Mitacon, with the proper diet, supports the cell's fastest, most effective absorption of natural nutrients in each 250 milliliter bottle and sustains the body's mitochondrial generation of usable energy, key to producing ATP, the energy-rich fuel the body needs to achieve peak athletic strength, performance, endurance, and recovery. Yes, Mitacon. That's Mito, MITO-CHONUSA.com. Check them out. My boy Ben will hook you up. You tell him Alan Odinson sent you, and he will hook you up. Mitacon, man. I got my trusty glass here. I don't know if you can really hear that. Yeah, but I got my little glass here. Got my Mitacon in here, and I am ready to go. I need this shit to keep me focused, especially with the subject I'm going to be talking about tonight. UCY.TV. Check us out, Barbarian Lounge, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Prime time. Check us out. There's a live chat that goes on during the show. You can talk to other people about the content of the show and spread some of the power to them. So, check us out there. I think that's about it. I want to go ahead and jump into this content. Usually I kind of take a little bit longer getting started, but I wanted to get all that quick housekeeping out of the way. It's just kind of one of those things you got to do in the world of podcasting. to pay the bills, keep the lights on, all that good stuff. So, today we're going to be talking about the topic for this broadcast is very controversial for a lot of people. It's a little surprising to me. I think it speaks volumes about the turn that our society has made over the years. I don't know. Maybe I'm lacking that whole empathy thing. My wife is very empathic. I am completely opposite. So maybe she does all the feeling for both of us. But for me, I'm more the guy that's just going to kind of break shit down into its bare bones minimum. Like I'm actually looking at the pieces of the puzzle rather than looking at the puzzle all put together. I want to know what it's made of. And I'm going to talk today about people who are, it's actually a subject real quick before I give you that quick little topic there. It's actually a subject I spoke about in the last show briefly in my episode on quitters. And I'm going to be talking about people who are too weak to live. Yes, too weak to live. We are talking, the theme of the week that has just been driving people mad is the suicide of that Chester guy from Lincoln Park. I think I used to listen to Linkin Park in the early years. When was Linkin Park popular? 2000s, early 2000s. I think when I was doing pro wrestling, my very first song, the song that I was known by was One Step Closer. I think that's the name of it. That was the song that I would come into, so it's just my interest music. And mainly because I had some good popping points that I could kind of, pose and shit. So, but the world's been going crazy, man. The internet especially, holy shit. Internet has been going crazy over this whole thing of this guy that decided that, he no longer wanted to, take part in life. He decided to check out. He quit. Plain and simple. Yes, I know. Everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. Yeah, that's what he did. He quit. He quit on life. He quit on his family. He quit on all of you fans that are just pining over him. He quit on all of you. And, we're going to talk about, like, the different aspects of this whole suicide thing. It's funny because people, when you start talking about people who are too weak to live, it's a very harsh way to really tackle the subject. And I do that as an attention getter for the most part. But really, when you really break it down, like I said, when I'm breaking things down to its bare bones minimum, I mean, that's what happened. The guy decided to check out. 'Cause why? Why? Oh, well, he had some depression. I heard that he was abused or something like that when he was a child. All these things like that. The hell with the 6 kids he had, right? The hell about them, or whomever it was who happened to find him hanging from a fucking doorknob, right? Oh, he had drug problems, he had this problem, he had that problem, he was sad, and all. Forgive me if I don't cry for you. And this whole thing, when they say, like, when you start talking about this, people think you're just kind of making fun of the whole issue, but the thing is, they'll ask me, well, do you think suicide is tragic? Yeah, I do think it's tragic. It absolutely is a tragedy. It's a tragedy for a lot of people. In this particular instance, just like I said, it's a tragedy for his wife. It's a tragedy for his family, his children, his 6 kids that he decided to leave behind. It's a tragedy for many of his fans that are out there. Because let me tell you something, when he decided to hang himself from that doorknob, he wasn't thinking of you guys. I just wonder, how the fuck does somebody hang themselves from a doorknob? Right? I mean, you have to completely have given up on life in general to not even fight yourself to not fucking die, right? I mean, like, the body has this natural self-preservation thing that goes in. I imagine it's probably pretty fucking weird when it kicks in when somebody jumps off a building. But, hanging from a doorknob, you would have to completely just give up on everything to fight that urge to breathe, right? But, it's absolutely tragic. His children are going to grow up without a father. The last image they're going to have of their father is that he hung himself. Who knows who the hell found him? I don't know who found him. I haven't kept up with it that much because I really don't care. I mean, you know, I mean, it's like at the end of the day, is this guy going to put bread on my table? Is he going to feed my people? Is he going to feed my tribe? No, he's not going to do that. He was a entertainer. He was basically like, in the old days, he would be a minstrel that walks in there with his little, guitar and plucks it, right? Entertains everyone. That was basically his role in society. But yeah, I would say 100%, you know, when it comes to suicide, yeah, it's a tragedy. There's a lot of people that are hurt from it. And I tend to find that most of the time it's a very, very selfish act. Even some people whom I've admired in the past who ended up eating a bullet or something like that. I think of prime example, one of my favorite firearms instructors ever was Louis Auerbach. And Louis Auerbach had some horrible illness, and he decided to check out. You know, and that's just kind of one of those things where it's like, for something like that, I can almost kind of understand it a little bit better, because in a way he was actually taking care of the future of his family with, you know, it wasn't a situation where they were going to have to lose all their, you know, life savings trying to support this guy, because he had gotten news that he was getting ready to go extremely downhill, and he wanted to go out on his own terms. I can understand that a lot more than somebody who was, oh man, I was feeling sad, right? You know, I was depressed. Something happened to me 30 years ago and I can't seem to get over it. You know, it's like, how the fuck can I feel sorry for that guy? But even the same thing, even when I talk about Louis Auerbach, you know, in that situation, he's still, you know, he kind of checked out on his family. He was an older guy. All of his kids were grown up. It was just kind of him around, but still, there's a level of selfishness that goes into that. But yeah, I would say that most suicides absolutely are 100% tragic. You know, and it's funny because people, like I said, people think that when you start talking about this, that you're automatically making fun of them. It's like, no, I'm not making fun of it. Not in the least bit. I'm analyzing it for what it is. No, I don't think there's any reason to make fun of it. I think it's a dick move, even when somebody dies, that you go, hey, you know, you start making, you know, song lyrics and stuff like that, memes and stuff like that. That's just kind of like, that's not even really analyzing anything. It's more falling to the level of childish mockery, and yeah, that's kind of, you know, that's kind of a douche move. But cowardly. Some people called, you know, different people, especially in this situation, that he was a coward, a cowardly way out, something like that. I personally do not think suicide is cowardly at all. It takes a lot of fucking guts to end your own life, right? I mean, you know, I mean, if you really think about it, it takes more guts to do that than it does to bungee jump, right? Cause there's no coming back from it in most cases. Some people are such fuck ups, they can't even get their own suicide right. But, you know, I don't think it's cowardly in the least bit, because, you are venturing off into the unknown, and there's no telling what awaits you on the other side of that door. But, it's a one-way trip. And it's a one-way trip, and you're only going to travel it by yourself. No one's coming with you. It is a trip you will make by yourself. So, yeah, I would say that's a pretty, that's actually a pretty brave thing to do, for lack of a better term. But at the end of the day, when you really break it down, like a lot of these fucking celebrities, man, it's not like these guys have some sort of terminal illness where they're going out, you know, and they're looking to take care, they're looking to basically end themselves to help their family out, or I don't want you to have to see me like this, I don't want you to have to see me I don't want you to have to lose the house because of medical care for me, I'm not going to get better, it's nothing like that. It's like, oh man, I did some drugs, and you know, I've got this whole problem where I go through depression, I go through this, and I go through that, and you know, forgive me for not feeling sorry for you. And you know, it is funny because people get really emotional when I tell them this whole thing about depression, and they act like they completely know 100% where I come from. When I initially posted this on the Barbarian Lounge Facebook page, go like us there if you haven't. When I initially posted this, you know, this guy had commented under it, and he was like, it says someone who's never battled suicidal thoughts and depression. And I'm like, explain to me, sir, exactly what I've battled. I would love to know your insight into the shit that I've been through in my life. You don't know where I come from. Nobody knows where I come from. It's not something I'm willing to share. But to say that I haven't been through some shit and some hard shit throughout my life would be a vast fucking understatement. But there's a difference. There's a difference in the way I was raised. There's a difference in my mindset. And I can even say there's more of a difference in my mindset now than it was even then. Just from talking to people of strength, people who could actually hash this shit out. Because believe it or not, some of these people that go through like the depression stuff, you would be amazed, because I've actually dealt with some of them. You would be amazed at how much when you remove the blame game and you remove the victim mentality, how much that helps right off the bat. I've counseled with soldiers in the past who have been through some shit, and you know, and these guys are up there and they're talking about how they've, you know, man, this little kid was radioing in coordinates from the top of a roof on a cell phone. I had a sniper rifle and I shot him in the face, and man, I just see his face all the time, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and he's talking to a group of people, and I'm in the crowd. I'm in the group with them. And, you know, the people's response is, well, thank you for your service. You know, I know it's bad and everything, and it's horrible, and you got to live with that, but, you know, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. They want to shake their hand and hug them and all this shit. And these fucking guys don't need that. You ask any soldier, they don't need that shit. They don't need that shit. They don't need you to coddle them and pat them on the back. But it's me that looks at him and I say, were your men going to die that day had you not done that? Yes, the mortars were getting closer. So you shot him in the face and you saved your brothers. Your brothers were more important. Do you know that kid's name? No, I didn't know his name. But you know the guy on your left, right? Yeah. You knew the guy on your right, right? Yeah. Okay, you knew the guys back at base, right? Yeah. Do you want to go home and see your family? Yes. Then it was absolutely 100% justified. So when you see that kid's face in your dream, you need to think to yourself, you did the right thing to save your brothers. You don't owe them anything. And that's fucking harsh for a lot of people to hear, but that's what the fuck these guys need. And that's what he told me. That's the kind of shit he talked to me later. He's like, brother, you helped me out so much just by telling me that. Because now when I do that kid's face does pop up in my head, and I see the visual as I was looking through that scope, and I put that round through his face. I know that I did the right thing every time, and it's made the demons get quiet. Believe it or not, sometimes the correct answer to these problems is not medication. The fucking medication gets you in worse shape than you were initially. Why the fuck do antidepressants cause depression? Why the fuck do they cause suicidal thoughts linked to depression from antidepressants? It's a fucking cocktail of death. Sometimes the correct answer is you need to look at these guys and say, get over it. And that will butthurt people worse than anything you could ever say. When they hear you say that, get over it. How can I just get over it? It's actually just that easy. Because at the end of the day, there's only one person who controls what your mind focuses on, and that is you. No amount of fucking medication, no sitting down in therapy, none of that stuff is going to matter at the end of the day if you can't keep your house in order. If your mind is weak, you will fail. So what is it? Whenever I hear of suicide, what do I think of? So it's a weakness. These people are too weak to live. They cannot handle the world around them. Their minds are too weak to deal with the pressures of society, and they can't handle it. They are too fragile. Their mind is too fragile. Their mindset, two different things. And many times when this fragility starts coming in, they start looking for ways out. Sometimes people need that tough love. They just do. What they don't need is people sitting around making excuses for the actions that they experienced in the past. You know, with this guy, oh, well, he was abused when he was a child. He was fucking 30-something years old. 30 years old. Successful musician. When he died, his net worth was $25 million. He had 6 kids to be taken care of, a wife to be taken care of, a much larger family to be taken care of, an army of fans. All of these things. What's the last image your family has of you? Hanging from a motherfucking doorknob. I mean, come on. I mean, let's call it like it is. This guy checked out because he couldn't handle his own weakness. He could not put it in line. He couldn't understand why he was falling apart. And I have several theories to this, and this isn't just my magical theory because I'm such a fucking genius. There's other people that's talking about this. There's a phenomenal book by a gentleman named Nassim Taleb, a very, very good book called Anti-Fragile. And I would highly recommend people read it. Very controversial book for a lot of people, but if you read this, it really starts to break things down, and you start seeing why these people are so eager to check out. So I'm going to read just a quick little excerpt here on fragility here. This is from the introduction. Just very brief here from the book Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb. Some things benefit from shocks. They thrive and grow when exposed to volatility, randomness, disorder, and stressors, and love adventure, risk, and uncertainty. Yet in spite of the ubiquity of the phenomenon, there is no word for the exact opposite of fragile. Let us call it anti-fragile. Anti-fragility is beyond resilience or robustness. The resilient resists shock and stays the same. The anti-fragile gets better. So basically this book, he's breaking down what we're looking at. When I read it, just that little excerpt really explains a lot of it. When I read that and you look at the world around us, we live in a world that coddles, holds the hand, pats on the back, and makes excuses for people to be fragile. You wonder to yourself, why do we see the rise in these crybaby leftists? Why do we see the rise in people who want to support a system of government that relies on them being taken care of? Why do you think these people want socialism? Why do they want communism? Because they believe that Big Daddy's going to come in and take care of them, right? Oh, I can get this for free. I don't have to do anything for it. This is a fragile mindset. These people are just kind of going along with the flow, waiting for things to be given to them, an easy life. The slightest little bit of interruption in that causes their fragile little beings to start to rattle. They just can't take it. So, when you look at a fragile person, and I would say most people that commit suicide, they fall into the category of being fragile. When you look at what makes up a fragile person, this isn't something that just pops up, right? Somebody just doesn't turn 30 and go, I am magically fragile. This is something that is built along the way throughout their life. And there's many different factors that could fall into place here. But basically, for the most part, it can be broken down into a few different things. First off, it starts when they're young. These young people, they're going to even when they're going to experience a lot of shit when you're young. You're going to have issues where you have to start conforming to your society around you. Are you going to conform to the society? Are you going to be someone who's going to stand out? Are you going to be picked on? Are you going to be bullied? What are your parents doing? Like when you're young, lack of accountability becomes something that can start being instilled in you right then. That lack of accountability. I would say for the most part, the building of a fragile person starts young. That lack of accountability is one of the big ones. That blame game. Oh my God. Well, this happened to me X amount of years ago, and, I can't get over it. It's something that I've not been able to go through. I know someone who grew up. I know this person very well. It's not me. It is somebody that I am close to, though. They grew up in a home that they were victim of abuse, and it took a while for them to start coming to terms with it. It did. It took a while. Needless to say, this is one of the things that being around me sometimes can actually trigger. But it's some of the conversations that we had that actually led them to go back and confront the abusers and show them. They say some of the best revenge is a good life, and show them exactly what they've become. Right? Look at you, and you go back and look at these people, and they're sickly. Their age is showing on them. I've seen some pictures of them that they're in bad shape. A fragile person would not have been able to go back and look these people in the face and show them and say, "Look, I made it. Look at me. Look what I have done. I own my own house. I've got my own business. I'm strong. I've raised good children. Look at me. Look at you. Who won this game of life?" A fragile person could not do that. And it really took a lot of talking from me to tell them, look, that happened a long time ago. It's time to get over it. It's time to show them what you are. Show them who you are, who you've become. Their complete attempt to turn you into a sorry piece of shit is going to treat your children like shit. You're going to live a sad, pathetic life where they're controlling you. You're going to go show them what you are. Show them who you are. Every step you take will rattle the earth under their feet, and they will recognize that you were there. It's crazy to me, man, to see people constantly giving their power away to something that happened forever ago. A lack of accountability, man. Blame this. Oh, it was, my father did this. My mother did this. A friend did this. I was abused. I was always beaten up. All these things like that. I get it. I understand you've been through some shit. But there comes a point, especially when you get to a certain age, you can't use that as a crutch for all of your failures. Because it is only you that controls your destiny. These people, let me tell you something right now. If you are not willing to let that shit go, if you're not willing to show these people who you are, what you've become, and show them what a good life that you have built for yourself out of the heap of shit they threw on you, if you're not willing to do that, you are still entrapped by them. You are still a prisoner. You are still in their control. They still have power over you. So many people don't realize this. Oh, well, you don't know. You weren't a victim of abuse. You know what? Fucking move past it. Because if you're still dwelling on that shit and say, well, that's the cause of my depression right now, and I just can't get out anymore. If you can't meet that, you're still under the shackles. You're still under the boot of that person that had control over you then. They still have you now. You are still their slave. You are still their bitch. I've known some women who have been attacked and sexually assaulted. Some of them are complete basket cases. Some of them use it as an opportunity to become stronger. That's the difference between being fragile and anti-fragile. They said, you know what? I was a victim once and I didn't like it. And that's not going to happen again. Teach me to fight. Teach me to shoot a motherfucker in the face. That's what I want to learn. Then there's some that they intentionally try and make themselves look a certain way, not attractive. They gain weight and they, all these different things like that to try and ward off attackers. Maybe they won't find me interesting. Let me tell you something. A predator is what a predator is. And they're always looking for an easy meal. There comes a time where you have to step up. I know a guy right now that, man, he lives his life almost as a basket case because when he was a police officer, he actually saw somebody die. And I think it was somebody close to him. And I mean, he lives his life as a basket case, medicated up, all these issues, afraid to leave the house and stuff like that. And I'm like, they talk about all these issues, these problems, and everybody babies him and coddles him. And I'm like, has anybody ever told him just fucking get over it? You saw what happened to your buddy there? You saw what happened? Do you want that to happen to you or anybody else? Fucking get stronger. That's the difference. Some people are fragile. And that started at a young age. A lot of times, that young age, a lot of it has to do with parents. If you have very coddling parents that, be careful and all these things like that. I remember, it's funny when I was growing up, I did a lot of manly things with my father. But at the same time, my father was also that guy that when I'm like, all right, Dad, I got a wrestling match. And he's like, all right, be careful now. That was always like his thing, and I get it, it's your child. But my mother was never like that. My mother was always very hard-nosed. She was like, go kill him. That was like my mom. It's always interesting, having that sort of thing. It was something that I grew to appreciate from my mother later on in life, was that she was always like, oh yeah, there's no way you're going to lose. You're the man here, be careful. We'll take care of that afterwards, but you go out there and you perform, but a lot of parents, man, especially nowadays, a lot of these parents, they're just, they coddle their kids. They don't want them to get hurt. And I understand it, man. I've got kids. I know you don't want to see them hurt, but at the same time, you've got to let the little birdie fly from the nest if they're ever, they got to jump out the nest if they're ever going to learn to fly. Okay? I mean, plain and simple. And I know it's difficult. I get it. I understand it. The first time I saw my daughter get behind a wheel of a car and start driving, holy shit. If you haven't experienced that, man, it's an eye-opening thing. Another thing, when you're young like that, a general thickness of skin is something that you'll start to develop as well. I think the younger age that you can start getting a kid to start having some thick skin and being able to take shit, the better they're going to be as they grow up. They become more resilient to things. It's kind of one of those things where, like, when I grew up, my family was always very picky, it was like, they were always picking at you. We were always joking and making fun, and, it was just kind of the whole ball busting mentality, right? It was always just picking at you. If you had a little belly, which, hell, all of us did, somebody walk by and pinch your belly or poke you in the belly and stuff like that, or they grab it and go, "Jeez, man, when you gonna stop eating?" Stuff like that. And it wasn't done out of meanness. It was done really a lot of times a way to get you better. That's one of the reasons I started losing weight, 'cause I got tired of my family grabbing my fucking belly. But that general thickness of skin, a lot of people right now, we live in this world where you constantly on the tip of everybody's tongue, well, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We have to include this. We don't want to hurt feelings. We don't want to make anybody mad. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that because we want everybody to like us. It's kind of like the whole thing with friends, right? It's like, I got a lot of friends, man. I got a lot of friends. If you can't handle me for what I am, I don't need you as a friend. It's one of those things. And it's at an early age too. You start to really learn, like, what matters. This thickness of skin, what matters. Somebody like, I remember when I was in school. I don't know if it's the same way now, but when I was in school, the big thing was shoes. This was during the time where people were like shooting each other for their Jordans. That was when I was in like school. And my mom never bought those Jordans. I didn't want, $200 shoes. I was buying, $15 shoes, $20 shoes. And I remember people especially like some of the black kids, they would come up to me and they would make fun of my shoes. I remember I bought some shoes, some Everlast shoes. I remember this clear as day, because I remember it was such a silly thing. I'm sitting there and I'm wearing these Everlast shoes. This Kid walks up, he looks at my shoes, and he starts laughing. He goes, ha, those gonna last forever, ain't they? He starts walking around me, making fun of my shoes. How much did those cost? Blah, blah, blah. I tell him, and he's, I think they're $15. He starts laughing. These shoes cost $150. And I'm like, I don't know why you're laughing at me, because I can tell you right now, one of us here is the dumbass, okay? And if you want a clue where he's at, he's wearing $150 shoes, okay? It's like, you gotta be kidding me, man. But you learn at an early age. I mean, these kids would come up and pick at me, and it's like, my tennis shoes don't matter. They're for covering my feet, right? I mean, they're gonna get stepped on. They're gonna get dirty. I don't give a shit if you pick at me about my fucking tennis shoes. They're shoes. Doesn't matter to me. But this was things that were taught to me when I was a kid. Some kids would just go crazy over this. I mean, they would try and hide, and, I mean, I remember kids getting physically upset because these guys are making fun of their shoes. Oh, your shoes didn't cost $150, you're an idiot. It's like, dude, there's only one idiot here, and he's wearing $150 tennis shoes. I mean, it's just one of those things where when you're a kid, if you don't understand, like, what's important, like, the big thing right now is, like, cyberbullying and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, I cannot understand this whole cyberbully phenomenon. Why is it such a big deal? Oh, well, they go on my Facebook page and they harass me, sending me messages and stuff. Okay, there's a button there that says block. You can mash that and ta-da, problem's gone. Well, they're going to be talking about me somewhere else online. So, they can't talk about you. If they're not going to talk about you there, they'll talk about you at school. You can't stop people from talking about you. As you get older, you'll probably learn that you might need a few haters. I always say, my saying is that haters are actually human billboards. They're the best advertisement you can ever have. You need more haters. Sometimes I think I don't have enough haters, but I'm doing good. This episode might actually build a few. So, hey, there you go. The whole cyberbullying thing, I can't get it. It's like, oh, they're making fun of me online. So what? Are they going to say it to your face? Right? I mean, the whole concept of bullying, they act like right now, we got to do something about bullying. Bullying's been going on forever. And you know what happened to a lot of those kids? They didn't grow up basket cases. Most of them grew up stronger. Because either they learned to take the punishment and let it roll right off because, fuck you owe these people, right? Who's this guy? What's he gonna do? You're in school, man. You're in high school, kindergarten, middle school, elementary school, whatever. These guys are all going the same place you're going. You have control of your destiny. Yeah, I know about the whole fitting into societal norms, but if you start teaching these kids early that what really matters, your brothers, your future, these other people, most of these guys aren't going to be doing shit with their lives. But the whole concept of bullying, like, teach your kid to fight or teach him to be stronger. Teach him to have a tougher mindset. You want to make fun of me? Okay, that's funny. Okay, so what? I get people all the time, I remember when I post some videos, I got injured a while back. This was a good while back. And, when I got injured, man, I put on an ass ton of weight, but I was still doing, YouTube videos. And I remember people coming on there and they were making fun of my weight. And it's like, well, there's only one person that I really care about what they think about my weight, and that's my wife. So, explain to me, sweetheart, exactly what you would like me to do to look more attractive for you. And because mostly these were men. And usually it's because they've lost an argument and they're trying to go the whole ad hominem thing. You guys know about that. And it's like these guys are coming on there most of the time making fun of my weight. And it's like, what would you like for me to do to make myself more attractive for you? Well, I'm not into dudes. Well, why are you on here asking me about how I look? I mean, are you just trying to get a rise out of me? Because that's not going to work. I don't give a shit about you. These are things that you learn when you're a kid. When you've been through some shit. It trips me out, man. And it's funny, like, when I was talking about the whole thing with, like, the blame game, people go, well, you blaming the victim? Oh, the blame... I'm telling you right now, if you are the victim, there's something wrong with your mindset right away. That is what they would call in SIOC, that is a receiver mentality. You are not being the feeder. And if you let yourself get taken advantage of in all these little aspects, the older you get, it will continue to happen. Trust me on that. So you may say to yourself, well, when it comes to anti-fragility, how does one become anti-fragile? Well, to become anti-fragile, you're probably going to have to go through some shit. Trials and tribulations build an anti-fragile individual. Think of it like this. Think about, like whenever you want to start building an immunity to something, right? What do? You start exposing yourself to it. They do it with, I know like, dogs. I had one of my dogs, get bit by a snake, rattlesnake. And she was a Great Dane, so she could take it. It bit her in the face, and her face swole up huge, and, that was it. And she didn't have any sickness or anything. Just, she was swole. She looked like, she had been through a 15-round bare knuckle boxing match. I mean, her face was all swole up. She had trouble seeing because her eyes were so swole. But it come down, it was fine. And we talked to the vet, and he's like, yeah, she'll be good, for the most part. Just keep an eye on her. But, at the end of the day, she'll have a little bit of immunity from it from now on. If you look at all these crazy, like, snake handlers, man, these guys slowly give themselves small amounts of venom, of poison. They poison themselves in microdoses. And slowly but surely, they start to build up a tolerance to the actual snake bite, a full dose of venom from a snake. So when they're fucking around with them and the snake actually bites them, well, it doesn't mess them up quite as bad. It's the same with like, even if you look at something from a more physical, combative standpoint. If you look at, like boxing, right? Somebody's never boxed before. When they get in there, the first time they get punched in the nose, it is going to be a shocking experience for them. They will cower, they will hide, it is just a sight to behold. They'll get tired, man. They'll swing wildly for 30 seconds and just realize they're about to die, because most of the time they're probably just hitting air, or their shots are getting blocked because they're just going wild and they get all tired. But slowly but surely, they're through exposure to this harshness, to exposure to being put through this pressure, slowly but surely, they start getting better. They start to develop an anti-fragile sense of being. Their minds don't freak out when they get punched in the nose, because after you've been punched in the nose many times, guess what? Punched in the nose is just a punch in the nose. Oh, you know what it's like to get winded? Well, you start to develop, your body starts to develop to it. I wrestled for years, and I can go, for a while I'm doing a lot more now, but I wasn't even doing any cardio. And I always had a higher level of cardio than most people, just because my body was so adapted to what it took to wrestle. My body knew how to go fast and rest, go fast, go rest. And I could do this actively. So, it's the same with like another thing, chokes. First time somebody gets a chokehold applied to them, they'll freak out. Oh my God, they start freaking out. They're tapping immediately because they're worried about what's going to happen. The first time you let yourself get choked out, chokes after that don't become so frightening. Matter of fact, you'll probably never tap to a choke again. You'll just go right to sleep. It's the most painless thing in the world. But most people can't handle that because they're not willing to go through the fire first. So anti-fragility is going to come through exposure to harshness. Some people will fold. Some people will just be, as it says in the book, some people will just be resilient to it. If you're resilient to it, that means you're just you're fighting against it, right? You just keep trying to push it back. You're pushing it away, you're pushing it back. Some people, those of strong mindset, those willing to put in the work, some people will get better. They will improve. Some people never get it. Some people will improve. I think at a young age, when you start instilling this concept of being anti-fragile, being able to handle these things as they come, the odds of you growing up that way are much better than a child who's been coddled. You got to teach people, man. You got to teach, especially with these kids. I work a lot with kids now, and I instill certain things in my class that teaches them about being anti-fragile, right? You get tired, we don't sit down. We don't sit down in the middle of rounds when we're doing cardiovascular. You do not sit down. You walk. If you sit down, you're going to have to do some work when you're down there. Maybe you're going to have to do some push-ups, some sit-ups, whatever it may be. But that's what you get if you sit down. If you, if you're on the ground, say, we're wrestling and you fall or you get thrown or into the match, there's no helping the person up off the mat. You got on the mat. I don't care how tired you are. You got down there. You get up yourself. Little things like that. People take that shit for granted, but that is where these kids really start to grow when you start including these aspects in their training, in their daily regimen, their daily lives. This is when they get stronger. It's just a little thing of like today. I was teaching a class today with some kids, and we were doing Thai boxing rounds, and I was holding the Thai pads for them. And one of them's he's kind of heavy set. He's kicking. He's exhausted. And he got done. He's like, I don't think Thai boxing's for me. And I said, Thai boxing is not for, and it's the first time he'd ever done it, right? I said, Thai boxing is not for anybody the first time they do it. It's hard. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. If you want to go put on some pajamas and go down there and fight the air, that's fine. But here, we're learning how to destroy things. We're learning the science of 8 limbs. All right? We're going to learn how to kick people. We're going to learn how to punch people, elbow people, knee people. That's what we do here. And, I told him there's a lot of things you can control in a fight, or a lot of things you can't control in a fight. I'm sorry. The one thing you can control is your conditioning. That is why conditioning is number one here, the way we train. And I'm slowly starting to expose him to these things. I'm teaching him, man, life ain't easy. It ain't easy. It's not. Everybody's got hardships. You look at this fucking guy that decided to hang himself from a doorknob, like he's a freaking member of the Lollipop Guild. He decides to hang himself from a doorknob. Life ain't easy. He thought life wasn't easy. This guy was, like I said, he was pursuing his passion, his music. Beautiful family of 6, loving wife. When he died, his net worth was $25 million. Numerous foundations, charitable foundations, where he was helping all these people, and an army of fans. Boo-hoo-hoo. Explain to me what was so fucking horrible about your life. I'd love to hear it. Oh, the traveling was killing me. Bro, you're talking to a former pro wrestler that used to travel, across 3 states to make $50. And that is not an exaggeration at all. I've traveled 2 hours, get up there and make $10. Okay, just enough money to toss some gas in the car, because luckily I was carpooling with other people. So don't tell me that the traveling's tough, right? Wrestlers do that shit, 320 days out the year. So don't feed that lie to me. So tell me, Mr. Celebrity, what was so hard? When you're teaching these kids these anti-fragile, man, I teach them a lot about victory. I teach them defeat. They need to learn. They need to learn that both are going to happen in your life, and when they do happen, you need to embrace both of them. You need to own it. Own your victories, celebrate them greatly, but also own your defeats, because that too was because of you. Never blame your defeat on anybody else. It's all you every time. Why do we do that? For the exact same reason we don't blame somebody for something that happened to us 30 years ago. Because we don't want to give our power away to that person that beat us. Or they'll continue beating you the whole time. Oh, he caught me with the right cross. Well, that was your fault. You didn't defend the right cross right. What are you going to do about it? Right? Oh, well, this guy screwed me out of position. Well, he screwed you out of position because you fucked up. Why did he get the position over you? What can you do to take that power away from him and get it back? That's the way life goes, man. That's what accountability is about. I used not to be that way, and when I took over that mentality, the world opened up for me. Now, the last little bit I want to talk about here, really, I'm going to try and keep this brief, is I want to talk just a quick little tidbit about the response to this whole situation from social media, because it speaks volumes about what our society prioritizes right now. The initial response that I've heard from people on social media has been dripping with emotion. Oh man, it was the most emotional outburst you will ever hear in your entire life from people. I mean, it was just a sight to behold. I saw people saying, "Oh, I cleaned out my friends list today because this asshole was making fun of somebody committing suicide, and I they said this guy was weak. You don't know what he was going through, and blah blah blah." And they throw the ad hominem attacks, and I mean, just it amazes me that there's a sense of anger, there's a sense of depression that comes over the fact that this guy decided to check out. He was too weak to live, and now you can't seem to handle it. But I ask him, who was this guy to you? Who was he? Was he your brother? Perhaps he was a member of your tribe. Perhaps he's someone who you see every Christmas. No. I can tell you right now, I assure you, all of you people that are getting so emotionally invested in this guy, he doesn't even know your name. Probably doesn't even know what you look like. There's such a mass epidemic where people start connecting and form these emotional bonds with people that they do not know. And it amazes me. It absolutely, utterly amazes me how people form these emotional bonds with these celebrities. I mean, they'll cry when they see them. They like they've just been graced by fucking Christ himself. People right now in their lives, they have such a boring existence, an existence that they have created. No victims here. No victims here. If you live a boring existence, you have created it. And they live vicariously through all of these different things. Rather than them creating their own story, rather than them creating their own legacy, they live through this singer, or they live through this sports figure, right? How many times have you heard, "Oh man, we won this week. We did really good." You didn't do shit. You didn't do shit. Maybe you bought some merchandise. I don't know. Maybe you paid their ridiculous salary, possibly. Who knows? But too many people are content to live their lives through another person whom they have no connection to whatsoever. And they'll tell me, they'll say, it's all about, a certain level of decency and a certain level of honor that you need to have when you're talking about these people. Why? Who are they? Decency? Honor? It's one thing to be a dick, but let's be honest, honor's a pretty big fucking word to throw on some celebrity. Honor's reserved for your tribe, not some celeb. I don't owe them anything. I owe my family honor. I owe my tribe honor. I don't owe a celebrity honor. Well, you should honor his family. I don't know them either. This is the thing. Too many people are thinking like there's some massive giant organism all connected together. I am here to say that you are not, no matter how much you want to think that you are. There's only so many people you can care about. Outside of that, you're lying to yourself. I know that hurts some feelings, and everybody's feeling those roids flare up from the butt hurt, but let me tell you something. That's just the way it is. There's numerous studies done on this. Why do we owe them this? What it is a lot of people start making excuses for these people. And, okay, it's like, well, so what if they're, if they like this guy? The problem is these excuses start drifting over into their own lives. And before you know it, it's starting to spread like a massive illness. People talk about changing the world. They talk about making the world better. These people are having children. These people, some of them are teachers. And they're telling them, it's okay. I understand. We all go through that. No! You're creating fragile people, and they will break under the first bit of pressure. The pressures of this world. I was reading an article today. I'm going to see if I can pull it up real quick here. And just kind of close out with this here. So, it was an article from, I think it was countercurrents.com or some shit like that. I don't know. Somebody posted it. And, it was funny because, like when I read this, I'm thinking to myself, this whole thing is just dripping. It reeks of a victim mentality. And they're like, oh, I didn't see it that way. But hey, you know, I can tell you there's a lot. It's a long ass article, but you can scroll down like towards the bottom, and basically when you're mapping it out here towards the end where they're wrapping it up, it says so the rise in white and male deaths, as like, okay, white and male, okay, we're going there, but either way, even as deaths fall for most other cohorts, is mainly owed to three things: suicide, drug abuse, and heart disease. All three of these things are major symptoms of psychological and emotional stress, as well as isolation. And it's like, you know, I read that and I go, okay, so these are all major symptoms of psychological, emotional stress, as well as social isolation. Here's the thing, though. All of these things, all of these little things right there, when you go through the article, it's saying, oh, well, you know, people don't have anything anymore to leave to their kids, and basically the whole article is mapping out why all these problems are coming up, why people are stressed. It's because of this person doing this. And we have pretty much the only reason we work is to buy things so we can fit the societal norms to court women and all these things like that. And I'm just reading all these different reasons of why all this emotional stress is coming in, and all I'm seeing is excuse, constantly solidifying and fortifying the weak mindset. These are the seeds. These are the seeds that you put in the ground and start watering to start building a fragile person. One of the things I've always touted on this show is never, ever, ever been about blaming somebody else for the position we are in. I can't stand it. I don't want to hear about your problems. I don't want to hear you sit here and cry about how this person's doing this and, oh, if we could just stop these people, the world would be better. And I'll say, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You control your destiny. Well, we just can't get past these crooked people. Nah, I got my fingers in my ears. La, 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 la. I am not listening to that. I want you to be better, and you're the only person that has control over that, not some other people. I'm going to hit the last call here. Quick last call to wrap it up. My analysis of this whole thing of people being too weak to live, the whole issue here, there comes a point where we have to understand that the things we are doing now, the things we are doing right now, the overly emotional, let's not hurt anybody's feelings mindset that's being pushed out there is leading to the creation and the building, the actual building blocks of that which is fragile. We are seeing it more and more. Children are growing, but kids are growing up weaker. The parents are fucking weaker. They're raising them to be this way. Kids have a natural desire to want to start blossoming into the adults they want to be. And if they've grown up with these fragile parents pushing this fragile mindset, what do you think is going to happen? When things get hard, they say, you know, I can't take it anymore. I'm just going to check out. The way I teach my kids, the way I grew up, the way a lot of my friends grew up, the way that we were built to be anti-fragile, there was a whole system to it. The system was designed to make us, whenever we run into a roadblock like that, it wasn't well, I'm just going to give up. No, you fight. That's the time to fight. That's the time when you should dig your feet into the ground and fight the hardest. It's not a time to check out. We need to start fortifying this mentality of being anti-fragile, being able to get through all of these different things that plague us throughout this life. Life is not easy. Life is hard. It is a fight from the time you pop out the womb to the time they put you in the fucking ground. It is a fight. And you got to be willing to step up. You're going to take your licks. You're going to get knocked down. How many times are you going to get back up again? That's what life's about. It's not about checking out when things get hard. Oh, well, this is too hard for me. I'm just going to go sit down over here. No, you get your ass up and you fight. You know, do you want your legacy to be defined by hanging yourself from a fucking doorknob?